What's up, everybody? Gonna wait a few minutes and let some people come in here. If you're listening to the playback of this, thank you. Listen to some music as we're waiting. Made by me. All right. I think we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Hopefully, some people will tune in as this is going on. It's interesting coming on live and getting used to the idea that you may be talking to yourself for a minute as you build your audience. Something else to think about is just when do people have the time to get online and search through all of this stuff? Save the changes to this. So, the title of tonight's episode is called The Black People, the Tastemakers of Society. There's a lot that goes into trying to get American black people on board with certain struggles that are going on. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in. And thank you for hitting that like button. That helps push this out to more people. Um, if you're a group of people and you're facing some type of injustice and you can get a certain amount of American black people on board, well, it adds legitimacy to whatever struggle that you're going through. So you'll see now that you see a lot of people getting deported, getting sent back to where they come from. Certain groups who don't usually care for us, now they're saying, hey, come and help us out. Say something about this. We need y'all to be on board. And part of that is the responsibility of being some of the tastemakers of society. I think about just how, thank you for subscribing. I think about just how influential hip hop has become, how that's been pushed out to the world, and that's what the world views of American black people. When they think of black people, they think of those images. And it's kind of one dimensional. We're not really getting, just a full scope of who we are and what we look like. And that's on purpose. because since we are the tastemakers of society and we do have people following us based on what we think are is cool things that we do, if we stop being on board with something, that has an effect as well. When this last presidential election was going on, there was a lot being done to make sure we got out and we voted. And not just, just exercising your right to vote. They wanted you to vote in a particular way. Um, but you know what? Even more than that, they were expecting you to just be on board with the Democrats. That was expected of you. And most of us, most black people did vote Democrat. But it was surprising them to see how many of us were willing to vote for the Republican candidate, Donald Trump, uh, because that shows a break from that hive mind. For the longest time, we've just been expected, well, just go and vote Democrat straight down the board. Won't really know what the issues are, but we're just going to vote for the Democrat. Hold on, let me read this comment real quick. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about that. I guess I'm going to keep these glasses on so I can see right off the bat. Uh, but even bigger than either, well, picking either side, they need us to participate. And the reason they need us to participate, because that shows other people, okay, well, this system still has some type of legitimacy. Like it still works. The people are still buying it. But if black people are in mass were to say, well, you know what, yeah, we're not going to vote. We're not going to participate in this system because we don't believe in it. Well, that's going to make other groups of people look at that as well and be like, well, if they're not doing it, maybe we should look into not doing it as well. Because again, we are the tastemakers of society. Y'all should really, I'm having fun with Chat GPT or GBT, whatever it is, and DeepSeek. I like to ask the AI different questions and just see what it searches off of the end and it spits back out at me. So there's been a quote unquote, they call it a conspiracy theory about all the presidents being related except for one, right? So I asked DeepSeek, are all the presidents related? And it was like, yeah, except for one. And the one isn't who you would guess it would be. The first person that comes to mind, well, if all the presidents are blood related, they can trace their ancestry back to a certain point. Well, that one has to be Barack Obama. It's not. Psych. Barack Obama can trace his ancestry back to St. John of England as well. Is it St. John? It's somebody in England they can trace their ancestry back to. Martin Van Buren is the one person who isn't related. Isn't that amazing? So you mean to tell me it's just a coincidence that the American people have constantly elected people who are blood related and they can trace their blood ancestry back to this one person? Nah, that's a scam that's being run on you, and it does seem scary until the fact that until, well, it was scary for me until I realized, they're just playing with us. It's a game. And once you realize the rules to the game and that they're allowed to change the rules as you're playing it, well then it gives you a different mindset. It gave me a different mindset. I don't get too emotionally vested in these different things that are going on. They want you to sit here and be upset about every move Donald Trump is going to make. It's funny. You look at the news, these people really be like, oh my God, did you see what Donald Trump did today? It's going to be 4 years of that. And you're right, Yvette Hollins. They want our energy. That attention that you pay to them, that's energy. Uh, Us going out and participating in society, going to work every day, going to the grocery store, buying gas. These are the things that keep the system going. And this is the things that we're giving our energy to. And it's like, I don't know, you just have to be careful. Um, I'm doing this program with my fiance. It's called Placemaking Jacks. And Placemaking Jacks, their goal is to revitalize the downtown Jacksonville area by having different events that's going to bring people out and get us interacting with one another again. There's something strange that happened with the onset of so much technology and social media. People have forgotten how to socialize with each other in a sense. Um, it's a scary thing. You know, you have so many people who have social anxiety now. They're spending all their time behind a computer screen. So placemaking jacks, and we're taking these classes so you can learn actually how to be a placemaker, um, and then you can present an idea to them and possibly get it funded. So one of the things they brought up in the last meeting, a woman was teaching about the concept of the 15-minute city. Uh, I've seen that before online, but I've seen it from the point of view that you see these different disasters that happen in like Tampa. Um, some say that disaster that happened in the Carolinas with the hurricane coming through and the wildfires in California. These were a way for the elite to clear out a wide swath of land so they can start building up and building to this idea of the 15-minute city. So let me explain this to you. Friend, this is Chat GPT. The 15-minute city is an urban planning concept aimed at improving quality of life by ensuring that residents can access most of their daily needs within a 15-minute walk or bike ride from their homes. This idea was popularized by Professor Charles Moreno, a French Colombian urbanist, and has gained traction as a sustainable and people centric approach to urban living. Uh, so, the key principles are proximity, essential services and amenities such as schools, workplaces, grocery stores, healthcare facilities, parks, and cultural venues should be located within a short distance from residential areas. Diversities. Neighborhoods should offer a mix of housing, businesses, and recreational spaces to create vibrant, multifunctional communities. Density. A sufficient population density is necessary to support local services and public transportation, making it economically viable to provide amenities close to where people live. Um, so it sounds good, right? The benefits of a 15-minute city: reduce carbon imprint, reduce carbon footprint, less dependence on cars, decreases greenhouse gas emissions, improved health. Encouraging walking and cycling promotes physical activity and reduces air pollution. Stronger communities. All of these things sound like good ideas. Um, but people also say, well, this sounds like a globalist agenda. You know, the globalists are the people who want to put us under a one world government where there are no nations anymore. There are no sovereign nations. You don't get to decide what you want to do based on where you live. It's somebody telling you. So it wouldn't be in America, it would just be a one world government. Some people say we're already kind of living in that already, that there is a secret government that pushes out all of these ideas, but it's not overt. They operate from the shadows. I'm weary of anytime they try to push a concept like this to us. Like it sounds good, but this idea of reducing our carbon footprint, greenhouse gases, you'll find a bunch of studies that say, well, everything that they're telling us about greenhouse gases and the earth warming up and it being a bad thing, uh, there you see reports in science that says, well, this isn't because of anything that we're doing. It's not because of fossil fuels. And let's even talk about the idea of fossil fuels. Dinosaur bones don't turn into oil. Uh, you don't have to look that up for yourself. It's just this idea that they make you think oil is a resource that's not renewable. There's a limited amount of it, so that's what makes it so precious. That's what drives the price of it up because of this idea that we can run out of it. Well, that's BS. And if that carbon emission thing and fossil fuels causing the greenhouse effect and making the planet heat up is BS, then all right. So why are you really trying to, you know, get us all on electric vehicles? And electric vehicles, that's not even green because the means that they have to do to produce the batteries to run these electric vehicles, that's not green at all. That's running on coal. That's running on electricity that's generated by coal. These big diesel machines that have to go and dig all this stuff out of the earth. It's not sustainable. That's just another way of controlling the people. So, us being the tastemakers of society, if enough of us were to get on board and say, hey, the 15-minute city, this sounds like a good idea. We should do this. It makes it easier for them to push that idea on the other people around the world. Don't be surprised if you start to see rappers talking about the 15-minute city or concepts of it. But maybe they won't use rappers for that because the rappers are too busy pushing materialism. And that's something else that drives the system. They need you in a constant state of having to buy something new to satisfy something within your soul. It's just crazy. So let's change the pace up a little bit. Let's listen to some music right quick that I made. I don't remember what this is. Let's see what it sounds like. Dance music. You know what we need to do more of is moving your body. How many of us are stuck behind computer screens or sitting at a desk all day? You don't get to get up and move. It's not healthy for you. Hey, do y'all spend much time in church? Here's another idea about taste making. The tastemakers of society. It was, if you look at Greek mythology, you'll see that it's very similar to Egyptian mythology. And the reason for that is, well, the Greeks got their mythology from the Egyptians. They just change it to suit their needs. All of these different things that we have in society originated with the original people of the planet. And there's good and bad to that. So this idea of war, that's not something that was invented by white people. We were fighting wars against each other way back in the day when it was just black people on the planet. They were fighting against somebody, and it was people who looked like us. So there have been times when it was peace on the planet, but everything happens in a cycle. So anyway, what have y'all been up to, man? What's been stressing you out? Is it finances? I know that's pretty crazy right now. Just having enough money to be alive. Now I know the Federal Reserve was supposed to release something today. I guess they was going to decide if they were going to raise the interest rates or lower them. But again, I've spoken about this on this channel as well. There is nothing federal about the Federal Reserve. So they get to play with our money and how valuable it is, and we don't have a say so in that. And that's pretty frustrating. You know, what they call it shrinkflation. You go to the store and you see an item, and it's like, man, it seems like this item has gotten smaller and the price has increased. That's happening all over the place. And a lot of that is from these companies trying to keep their profit margins the same. You know, imagine going to, like, if you smoke weed, imagine going to your weed dealer and saying, yo, give me a 3.5, and he usually charges you like what, $60 for a 3.5. But now instead of getting that 3.5, he's going to give you 3 grams. You're not going to get that point 0.5, and he's going to charge you 65. So it's like, wait a second. I'm getting less now, and the price is going up. And he's like, yo, price is the price, man. That's business. That's just how it is right now. Everybody's experiencing that. When I think about deciding whether or not to buy a home, like the pros and cons of it, one of the pros being, so once you get locked in at whatever that rate is, you know, well, if they say your mortgage is going to be, I don't know, $1,800 a month, that's what it's going to be going on. But when you have an apartment, it's like, well, it's 1,800 this year. Next year it may be 1,875. The year after that, maybe 2,000. You know, you just know it's going to constantly go up. But the thing about those mortgages is, once they get you locked in at that 30-year mortgage, you know, like the first 15 years of it, you're really just paying off interest, just paying the interest on the place before you even start paying the principal down. Then this is the idea: if you move, you start all over with another 30-year mortgage, and it's like, well, are you really going to live long enough to pay this off? I saw a post where this man was speaking about his boss told him, he said, you know, I like it when y'all go out and buy homes and when you have children. Because when you have a house and you have children, you're less prone to quit this job and try to move on to do something else. And then, you know, immediately red flags went up in his head and my head. It's like, oh, so you like us having these things that can trap us into this system. They don't want you to have the freedom to be able to pick up and move around how you want to move around. And that's what a house can do for you. And again, us being the tastemakers of society, if we all decide, you know, and I ain't really with this house thing like that. If we decided we're not with that, well, that makes more people look at that kind of funny. And then now the banks have to do something because that's a money maker for them. All these housing bubbles that burst, them giving mortgages to people that they knew couldn't afford it in the long run, but we're going to give it to you anyway because the government's going to bail us out. This all goes bad. It's games they play. So as long as we continue to say, hey, we're going to participate and just do everything that we're supposed to do, we're going to get more of the same results. How do you change it? You got to start having these types of conversations. And one of the amazing things that you'll find, there's solutions to every problem. In that placemaking Jack's vent, the class that I go to, I run in, you know, it's a room full of creative people, different races, different nationalities. Well, I guess, well, different nationalities, different ages, men and women. And that place is a resource. So when you do start trying to get your activities or your events off the ground, people in that room are resources. And this made me really think about us working collectively together. We can solve every problem that we have. But you have to pay attention to the people who put in barriers to stop you from solving those problems. Those are your enemies. The people who are entrenched into the system, They don't necessarily want you on your own to figure out a solution to the problem. Because if you do that, well, then that shows, well, we don't really need you guys. Earlier, when I was talking about the 15-minute city, that made me think about Dune by Frank Herbert. It's like the fourth book. The main character, Paul, his son has become the emperor and the god of the universe. He's not just the emperor, but he is the god to the people. And when he takes over, he rules for 3,500 years. He's a tyrant, but he's doing it for a good reason. He's trying to save humanity. He saw a future. He has the ability to see into the future. He saw a future where humanity got wiped out. And humanity at this point in time has spread all throughout the stars. We weren't just on planet Earth, right? So he did all that to control humanity, to really put a clamp and a damper on us to where we will be careful about who we put in positions of power for fear of, living under that tyranny again. But one of the things that he did, humanity is spread all throughout the stars, right? So the way how I can travel from Florida to Georgia, or I can travel from Florida to England or something. Well, that's how people were traveling amongst planets. You can go to different planets before he took over. So he took over the universe and he kept people locked planet side. There was no interplanetary travel. And that really gave people like this itch of wanting to get out and explore. But he did that as a means of control. He even controlled the type of vehicles they were allowed to drive. So when I think about this concept of the 15-minute city, that's what that sounds like. We're going to try to control your means of travel. Yeah, we want you to have everything within a 15-minute, drive or walk. That's because we don't want you traveling outside of this area. You need permission to travel outside of your 15-minute area. And if you don't have the right social credit score, let's say you jaywalked. Let's say you got online and said something speaking out against this system. Well, then we're going to say, nah, you can't go over there. You're restricted to this area. You can't just clamp down on people all at once. That's when they'll rebel. It's like when you're boiling a frog in a pot. You got to turn that heater up slowly. So they're going to show you all the benefits of these type of things. They're going to, tout it as this is all something positive. But then they'll start implementing different things inside of it. Did I say I just plugged in? Nope. Hold on. I thought of a quote from Dune that I want to share with you guys. Hopefully I can find it fairly quickly. But think about that when they start talking about the 15-minute city. Do you really trust these people to do the right thing? Let's see. Something else that was going on online. You saw people on threads talking about reading is a waste of time. Reading fiction is a waste of time. And it was a lot of sadness. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I saw too many black men from my comfort agreeing with that. I understand, most people in America, like over half, are reading at a sixth grade level. Uh, so I can understand the difficulty in, sitting down and reading. That's another thing, us being the tastemakers of society. We decided, reading is in. We all need to read. Well, more people will start reading. And we definitely need to do that. If you have trouble with reading, if you can use Google, you can figure all that out. If you can use YouTube, they got courses teaching you how to read. Any word that you come across that you don't understand, type it in on Google. Hey Siri, define this, and she'll do it for you. Matter of fact, type in, get a Chat GBT or a DeepSeek, put that on your phone, and whatever word you don't know, type it in there and have it explain it to you. You have the solutions. Something else that they've done too is they really shortened our attention span. People will find it impossible to sit down and finish a book. And this is like, what's wild is that you have kids going to these Ivy League schools complaining to their professors, like, hey man, you're giving me too much to read. I'm not used to having to read an entire book. And they're supposed to be, the smartest kids in the nation going to these Ivy League schools, and they're complaining about having to sit down and read an entire book. They can't do it. That's by design, people. Let's see. But anyway, they do all of this out of fear of the people, and at the end of the day, they're going to lose. Evil can only quote unquote win for a certain amount of time. Let's see if I can find the quotes to this. You ever watched a really good movie and none of your friends have watched it? Uh, that's what it's like uh, reading a book and not having anybody to talk about it with. It's very frustrating. Now to I got my line brother to read Dune. I think he might have read the second one, but he hasn't caught up to like the God Emperor Dune, and that's the best book. Uh, that's the best book in the series. And Frank Herbert was really on some shit, man. Like he says things in here that's like, yo, that's true. So this off the top, the first quote from this page says, most civilization is based on cowardice. It is so easy to civilize by teaching cowardice. You water down the standards which would lead to bravery. You restrain the will. You regulate the appetites. You fence in the horizons. You make a law for every movement. You deny the existence of chaos. You teach even the children to breathe slowly. You tame. I see that happening in our society right now. Helicopter parents afraid to let their children fall down and hurt themselves. They got to have play dates. They can't just go out and do things. Uh, they show you all these things to keep you fearful. They fence in your horizon. They want to show you only these things that we show you is possible. The truth, it's another quote. The truth always carries the ambiguity of the words used to express it. You know, words are a interesting thing. They're open for interpretation. Like, you ever play that game of telephone? You start off with one message, then you pass it around the room. By the time it gets to like the last person, the message has changed completely. That's the ambiguity of words. And the people who rule us, they know that. So that's why you get like this flood of information, entertainment. And then you have people who are experts who get to go out and interpret this information for you. No, no, no. Trust us. We're the experts. Don't believe in your own lying eyes and your own lying ears. Believe us. That's what they will have you believe. Being the tastemakers of society, if we decide, I ain't listening to none of that anymore, I'm gonna make up my own mind, more people would do that. One of my favorite quotes from this says, police are inevitably corrupted. Police always observe that criminals prosper. It takes a pretty dull policeman to miss the fact that the position of authority is the most prosperous criminal position available. Politicians are like that. You know, the biggest gangsters on the planet, the biggest drug dealers on the planet who do the most harm, they wear a suit and tie to work every day. You know, they'll show you the street dealer. They'll show you a black person as a street dealer handing out drugs and make it seem like, well, he's the scourge of society. But these legal drug dealers don't have anything on them. These people ruin millions of lives and make billions of dollars doing it. And they don't get in trouble. It's like a slap on the wrist, pay a small fine, that's it. It don't even be like a percentage of their profits. So yeah, they're going to keep on doing the same thing. Think about tastemakers of society, the drugs that we were introduced to because of our musicians showing it to us, showing us that lifestyle. That's a powerful position to be in. Let's see. I'm looking for the quote about bureaucrats. Hmm. Listen to this and think about this dual political system that we have, these liberals and conservatives. Quote, scratch a conservative and you find someone who prefers the past over any future. Scratch a liberal and find a closet aristocrat. It's true. Liberal governments always develop into aristocracies. The bureaucracies betray the true intent of people who form such governments. Right from the first, the little people who formed the governments which promised to equalize the social burdens found themselves suddenly in the hands of bureaucratic aristocracies. Of course, all bureaucracies follow this pattern. But what a hypocrisy to find this even under a communized banner. All right, let's see if I can explain that. Scratch a conservative and you find someone who prefers the past over any future. Conservatives are usually people who are afraid of change. They're real staunch on tradition. They like things to go the way that they have always gone. Scratch a liberal and find a closet aristocrat. Now, aristocrat is somebody who's like seen as like the upper echelon of society, and you'll see that with these liberals and how they behave. They feel like they're better than you. They have a arrogance to the way they speak to you, to their belief system. It seems so matter of fact to them that how can you be a backwards conservative? And that's why they were so surprised when they saw Donald Trump win. They was like, wait a second. Y'all don't get it? Y'all really going to go with this backwards conservatives? But that's part of that pendulum swinging. Like we were under the leadership of a very liberal administration when it came to Biden and Kamala. And the results weren't good. A lot of the American people say, yo, we're not with this. So now we're going to go with the other option. But you know, it's a cycle that feeds into each other. You get these bureaucracies, these systems of government who want to keep themselves in power. They don't necessarily want to find a better way of doing something, especially if it didn't come from them. Let's see. If I can just find where that quote is. Let's see. I hear something that something I have to keep in mind for myself. Beware of the truth, gentle sister. Although much sought after, truth can be dangerous to the seeker. Myths and reassuring lies are much easier to find and believe. If you find a truth, even a temporary one, it can demand that you make painful changes. Conceal your truths within words. Natural ambiguity will protect you then. It's this idea that you can't just outright tell people the truth. Um, well, because, like he said, it may require you to change something that you don't really want to change. I'm not above that myself. I don't like changes all the time. It's something that I have to work on, and it'll take me a minute to really get on board with it. But when I do get on board with it, I'm on board. But again, that's that I don't know. I guess you know what I know what it is. It's that growing up as a military brat, I was moving every 3 years. I was always around a bunch of change. Wasn't a whole lot of permanence in my life. So now that I'm an adult, I like things to kind of be permanent, but I'm learning to be more adjusted to that. Let's see. Anyway, I think I am going to end this so I can go and get a workout in. And I don't want to be up too late tonight because I got to go to work tomorrow. And I wake up early in the morning. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I thank you guys for tuning in. I always appreciate you uh, coming in, hitting that like button, spending some time subscribing. Share this message with somebody that you think needs to hear it. We are on the verge of something good and powerful. Society is changing, and we have to pay attention to what's going on so it changes in the way that we want. And don't let them play any games on you. Trust your instincts. There's a little voice inside of you that tells you the truth, and it may not be what you want to hear. All right, anyway, I can't find this. I can't find this quote. Maybe I'll tell it to you guys next time. But thank you all for. Oh, wait a second. Is it? Hmm. Yeah, this isn't it. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Check out some of the videos on my page. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments. I love talking to you guys, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.